Welcome to the Kano's Club. You are now entering the Kano's Club. This video will be dedicated to New Year's 2022. We are entering a new year, 2022, titled Metatrons Cube. I'm going to continue the series of Metatrons Cube that I was talking about in previous videos. Metatrons Cube, as I mentioned, to preface, to recap what Metatrons Cube is in association with New Jerusalem. Metatrons Cube is the epicenter of creation, is the creation hub. And not only is it association with New Jerusalem, but New Jerusalem is within you. So that creation hub, that mechanism, that that tool of creation lives within you, as I talked about in the previous video about um, that door between earth and heaven. Um, that Jacob's ladder is not necessarily a bridge. It's not necessarily a ladder between that's stretching up to heaven per se. It is a ladder. It's more like a bridge that is within you. That the doors open, which were in which the throne room of heaven, the physical throne room of heaven, and the farther reaches outside of time, outside of the galactic universes, that location also is close to you as the air you breathe. It's closer to you than the air you breathe. So it's within you, within your spirit, and that spirit that's within you ties you to God, ties you to Christ. So you're able to access that. You're able to access it. It's far away, but it's actually really close. You see. So Christ is that door, as he mentions. He calls himself the door in Scripture. And that door he opens it between and allows the access point between heaven and earth. So that your spirit is the most holy place. The most holy place is a cube, a perfect cube. It says that in Scripture. And also, what else is a perfect cube is New Jerusalem. Now these are infinite points. These are places of infinity. These are places where it's timeless. New Jerusalem is timeless. The most holy place is timeless. It's outside of time. So there we have this cube, this abyss, this space of infinite power. Now we understand that in each point of space there is infinite power, infinite energy. We talked about how every proton has a holographic mass of the entire universe in one proton. Therefore, it's making up all the protons in your body, there's trillions, but trillions of trillions, has the holographic mass of the entire universe. You have more power in you contained than the universe itself. That is how God is able to birth creation and creations through the mechanism of your body. You see. And this gets into Metatron's cube that you are a epicenter of creation through your works, through your thoughts, through your deeds, through your actions, through your emotions, through your energy. It creates things, and all of reality is a electromagnetic fields. Everything. The what is perceived as empty space is actually teeming with energy. What we think is invisible and just nothing's there is actually more real than what our physical hands touch. That the physical reality is actually a excitation and a continuum, a continuation or a spectrum of that field that we don't see, you see. So it's just a spiral within that field of water, you see. Like a vortex in the water is not separate from the water, not separate from the lake. It's just a different feature of the lake. So you are part of the cosmos. The cosmos is expressing itself through you, and God is expressing himself through you. So the Metatron's cube in association with the Jews, with the cherubim. Cherubim are very special. They it's gonna be written about in a future book in the Spiritual Revelations Part Two, Volume Two. We're gonna talk about the cherubim, but the cherubim is cherubim. We've seen the throne room of heaven. The cherubim surround the throne of God. Christ is in the middle. There's four of them. Four of them surround with four faces. They also with them below them and the seraphim above. Now, all of this is also a type and it's a heavenly reality of the earthly representation, which is one of them is the tribes of Israel. So you have the tribes of Israel surrounding the tabernacle in the Old Testament. Now it was earth. Now all of the tribes of Israel stretched out with four directions: north, south, east, and west. Three on one side, three on the other side, three on one side, three on the other side. You see. Now all these Israelites totaled in hundreds of thousands, almost closing a million. So when we're talking about the cherub, we're talking about a conglomeration of angelic beings that's innumerable amounts, not able to be counted. We see this in Hebrews where it talks about we have come to Mount Zion, which is New Jerusalem, heavenly Mount Zion, New Jerusalem. That we have come to God, that we have come to a innumerable, not able to be counted, of heavenly beings, of angels, and the spirits of just men made perfect. The witnesses that we are being surrounded in this small space that you call the circumference of space, you are surrounded by innumerable amounts of angels. And the spirits of just made perfect, the cloud of witnesses. We have all this company surrounding us. Now tie that into that mechanism of creation. You have all this company that is assisting you in birthing the will of God. You have all this company assisting you in birthing and creating as it is in heaven on earth. So when the scripture talks about that we have a foretaste of coming glory, has there been anybody that has even breached 1%, even close to 1% of that power? No. We are coming upon a time where it is needed and it will come. And this is something that the world, you cannot censor it. The false prophet media, this antichrist virus, as I mentioned, the virus, if you will, quote, has done everything that the antichrist will do. Many antichrists have come. Spirit of antichrist has been in the world since 2,000 years ago. Talks about the spirit of lawlessness. What has this, quote, pandemic brought upon the world? It's escalating and unfolding a spirit of lawlessness upon the earth. There is no more law anymore on what is right and what is wrong and what should happen. Governments have overstepped their power completely. We have the woman and the beast that has risen up and is over the sea of the people. And what is that one thing that the woman and the beast, Babylon, is used to deceive the entire world? It's called pharmakia. Pharmakia. Okay? So God has allowed the world to try to heal man's problems. Now it's time for the church to rise up in their cherubic power and do what they're supposed to be doing, healing mankind authentically. where you don't have to come back for another booster shot. You don't have to come back for another visit. You're completely cured. You're completely cured. This is where we need to be getting to restore the respect and the fear upon the earth in the church and in God. You got to think about it. Why is it not being done? People have more faith in the government. People have more faith in medicine, pharmacia. Not saying those things don't have the place, but it has to be balanced. They have more faith in that than they do in the word. They have more faith in that than they do in God. Therefore, God is saying, hey, you will become like the gods you serve. That's why a lot of people are dying. A lot of people experiencing neurodegenerative disorders because they trusted in man. They trusted in a shot. They trusted in what same people that's been lying to them from the very beginning. Devil, all he does is lies. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. What has been done since 2020? Stealed your money, killed people in hospitals, and destroyed people's retirements, their finances, everything, emotionally, physically. The ramifications of the past 2 years will go on for decades to come. Not just physically, but emotionally. There are more people that have overdosed from drugs than anything else. Untold traumatic abuse, untold sexual abuse, untold trauma that has been pushed upon and induced in the psyche of humans. We have people in planes spazzing out, yelling at people for not wearing masks, losing our minds completely. That's not the way it should be. You see. So I don't look at it as, yes, Jesus, when any time come back, he's standing at the door. But time for him is different for us. And I believe that the whole mechanism between Revelation talking about the Babylon and the woman of beast and the Jerusalem that's revealed, these are these are showing us what we can be capable of doing, bringing upon the earth. Heaven is that when the woman and the beast, the Babylon, it's a mechanism of rising and falling throughout its history. Babylon is rose and falling, with the serpent rose and fallen, rose and fallen with the serpent. Serpent's been cast down, rose and fallen. And it's the same thing with Christ does. When he destroys the works of the devil, healing occurs. So we're in a pivotal time where we're seeing the fall, we're seeing the fall of Babylon. We're seeing the slow fall of Babylon, and we also seeing the expose of the wickedness in government. We have the Maxwell, the Epstein case, and all that is being exposed. Its connections with government and key political figures. We're seeing all this is playing out before our eyes. We're seeing how a lot of institutions lied blatantly that have used people to get rich. Revelation talks about this, about the kings of earth got rich with Babylon, prostituted to abomination. We understand these things. So now it's pivotal for people of God in the church to start to ride the horses, to regain their horses of power. Previously, the unsaved, the vessels of wrath, the vessels of destruction have been riding their horses of destruction. They have been riding horses that are accompanied, that are ours. They're riding horses and they're in their seats of power that are actually ours to be sit on. And they're sitting on those seats of power. And until we sit on the seats of power and rise up to those positions of power and start riding the horses of glory, we don't see We won't see the power that we're meant to see. We will continue to be oppressed. We will continue to be obliterated. And if you want to see and see a total destruction of the world, God will get ready to the very end for you to actually rise up and do something about it. Because he's in total control. Even in destruction, he's in control. And when the church is thriving, he's in control. He uses even the instruments and the vessels of wrath for his glory still. It's still used for his glory, even if wicked people are in power. God still is able to use it for his glory. Do we want to be on that end of history in which we are obliterated because we don't sit in our places of glory so that we can rise up and see the mechanisms of New Jerusalem? So you see in scripture that shortly after the fall of Babylon, we see revelation of New Jerusalem. New Jerusalem is that mechanism, as I mentioned, Metatrons, Cube, and New Jerusalem. They're kin. Okay? So New Jerusalem is the birthing of heaven upon the earth. It's a temple. You see the river of life flowing out of New Jerusalem and the trees of life on each side. And you have the gates, four gates representing the cherubim. And we have the foundations of the patriarchs and the foundations and the stones of the apostles. That also ties into the cloud of witnesses that are surrounding us. Birthing, they are assisting in the creation and birthing of New Jerusalem, the realities of heaven upon the earth. This is what we can do. We do not need to wait for Christ to bring down New Jerusalem onto the earth. That is a signal for us to birth it. He's showing us it is a mechanism of creation that we are, this body, your body, corporately, we are New Jerusalem, and you birth heaven throughout the earth. We are this physical body, your physical body, corporately, Metatron's cube. Metatron's cube is made up of 5 building blocks of creation. The 5 building blocks of creation, which all of creation uses in sacred geometry. So you're able to create through the mechanism of and the medium of Metatron's cube, i.e., New Jerusalem. But we need to rise up and sit and operate through in our cherubic thrones of power. These are vehicles of creation, not just in physicality, but also in time, because God is in every point of space, in every potentiality and possibility of time. He is in the was and is to come. The past, present, future. He all exists in all of those points of place. So we're able to take pieces of history in the future and merge it into our present to change the outcome. That's what we can do because we have Christ within us. And Christ says he prays that we may be where he is. Where is Christ? He is in the 7th day of creation, where all is complete, all is done. Where he's rest. All is complete, all is done. Nothing more is to be done. 7th day is outside of time. It's outside of time. When you operate from the 7th day of creation, you're operating from what will be. And a lot of people go through life, their entire life, as what is. What is transient, is always changing, you see. But when you live and you operate from what will be, which is permanent, it means that you are aligning to something, to a thing, a reality that will happen. And you can risk your life and you can have faith in that. Because it's a thing that is. And what seems to be right now is not. But what is in the future, what is in the seventh day, will be. You see, it will be. So it's better to live out of the seventh day. It's better to live out of what will be, because those things will always be. Out of spiritual realities, not physical transient things. So this is something that not only myself but the world, to live out of what will be, to live out of the seventh day of creation, of rest, that we may bring New Jerusalem, the heavenly realities, a rightful, balanced system of governance, not only the governance, but even in therapies and medicine. Medicine is not meant to be obliterated completely. I'm not saying don't live without medicine. I'm not saying don't live without some sort of order, but it needs to have a proper, non-corrupt, non unadulterated force. Right now, it's completely compromised. It's completely adulterated. It's completely wicked. It's completely fueled by greed, lust. All these things breed death. It just breeds death. It's not helping humanity. Humanity is suffering right now, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, and there's only a small percent that are benefiting tremendously, in the trillions to billions of dollars. That is not the way it should be. That's what you call slavery. It's a slave planet. That's not meant to be a slave planet upon this earth. Earth is suffering. Physical earth suffering, because there's a small percentage that are greed. They're hoarding all the wealth and the power. It is inhumane and non-human force that is pushing this upon the earth, because they hate humanity. They hate humans who are made in the image and likeness of God. You see, and they want to change our biological structure. They want to change that we are a temple of God. That God comes to live within us. You see, and when you change that biological structure from the quantum level, you're indirectly distorting the image of God. That's an abomination. So, Scripture says to be sober and awake. To go into 2020, we have to be sober and awake and know. That's the only reason why a lot of people survived 2020 to 21, knowing what you're dealing with. Now you need to know what you're dealing with going into 2022, and knowing how to survive. I've not been sick in more than 2 years. I've not took a vaccine. Nothing of the like. And I plan to continue in good health to 2022 and onwards. Likewise, you. If you like this video, I'll see you in the next one.